Hello, baseball fans. King Ikibu coming to you live from the underground bunker, where we are continuing on our massive Best of the 80s replay. Going through the entire decade of the 80s, it comes out to be around 21,000 games, and we're somewhere in the 7,800 range so far. So we are probably about just over a third of the way through this massive replay. And today, in our game of the week, it's a game from July 31st, 1983, between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Montreal Expos from the Big O Olympic Stadium in Montreal. So far in the replay, the St. Louis Cardinals are in first place in the National League East with a record of 58-40 and a run differential of plus 36 versus the second place Montreal Expos, who are 55-43 with a run differential of plus 57. The real series, this is a 5-game series, and it was in real life it was 3-2 Cards, and so far head to head between these two teams in the replay, 4-1 Expos. The real record for the Cardinals at this point in time in 1983 was 50-48, so they're 8 games ahead of their real life pace. The Montreal Expos had a record at this time of 50-47, which means they were 5 games ahead of their real life pace. I don't know why I have these X's in here. If you are that far ahead of your real life pace, chances are you're doing very well in one-run games, and that is true because the Cardinals have a record of in one-run games of 21-10, which is second in baseball. Montreal has a record in one-run games of 16-13, which is 7th in baseball. And so far, we're at the end of July. The big hitters for the Cardinals, David Green is batting .359. You can see his slash line. I forgot to put in his home runs and RBIs. I have to do that before I post this. And Tim Raines is the leading hitter for the Expos so far in July with a .318, .414, .518 slash line with 2 homers and 10 RBIs. In the first game, we're playing the 5th game of this series, so 4 games have already been played. John Stupert versus Steve Rogers, and the game was won by the Expos. In the bottom of the 9th, Gary Carter hit a walk-off home run. So Expos got lucky in that one. In game 2, Bob Forsch versus Dan Schatzeder, and Bob Forsch pitched a complete game, allowing 5 hits, 1 run, 5 walks and a strikeout, as the Cardinals won easily 9-1. And typically what the Cardinals do, you see this in almost every game, they get off to an early lead, and most times than not they hang on, and they did that here. They had a 6-0 lead after 4. Expos got 1 run, and then Cardinals finished it off. The big batter in this series, or the game, was George Hendrick with his 13th home run of the season, 2nd of the series. Game 3, Neil Allen versus Bryn Smith. And Neil Allen was the star of the game as he continued his great pitching in 1983, as he allowed only 1 hit over 5 2/3 innings. That hit allowed a run, but still the Cardinals won 4-1. Of course, Neil Allen he started the season as a Met, but he was traded to the Cardinals for one Keith Hernandez. And he's pitching very well for the Cardinals so far. And then game 4, Dave LaPointe versus Charlie Lee. And the player of the game in this one was Lonnie Smith, as once again the Cardinals jumped off to an 8-0 lead. The Expos, of course, stormed back, but they only got within 1. That's what teams do. They might storm back after the Cardinals get the big lead, but they always fall behind by 1 run. And that's why the Cardinals have this 21-10 one game differential record, because they allow runs late, but the teams don't get over the hump and they hang on. And that's why also Bruce Sutter has 33 saves already. So then that's why here in game 4, the 33 saves, and here's 34th save that he got in this game. That's Major League leading 34th save. And now today's game, the game we're going to play right now, as the Cardinals go for the stranglehold of the National League East. We see right now the up-to-date standings that the Cardinals now have a 5-game lead over Montreal. So this is a desperate game for the Expos. If they win this game, they go back to 4 games back, which is more respectable. But if they lose this game, they'll be 6 games back, and they'll almost be in Cubland. Cubs will be breathing down their necks for second place if they lose this game. So it's a huge game for Montreal. Joaquin Andujar, who has a record so far of 9-8, 395, versus Bill Gullickson with a record of 9-6, 301. And I'm just I think we're ready to go. So let's get this game underway. The lineups for your St. Louis Cardinals, leading off and playing center field, Willie McGee. Batting second, the third baseman, Ken Oberkfell. Batting third, the second baseman, Tommy Herr. Batting fourth, the catcher, Darryl Porter. Batting fifth, the left fielder, Steve Braun. Batting sixth, the first baseman, Andy Van Slyke. Batting seventh, the player of the month for the Cardinals is batting seventh, right fielder, David Green. Batting eighth, the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith. And batting ninth, the starting pitcher, Joaquin Andujar, as my, let's call it, former significant other used to like to say. She liked to call him Walking Underwear. That was her nickname for him, Walking Underwear. So sometimes I call him that. Anyway, for the Montreal Expos, leading off and playing left field, Tim Raines. Batting second, the shortstop, Brian Little. Batting third, the center fielder, the Hawk, Andre Dawson. Batting fourth, the first baseman, Al Oliver. Batting fifth, the right fielder, Warren Cromartie. Batting sixth, the catcher, Gary Carter. Batting seventh, the third baseman, Tim Wallach. Batting eighth, the second baseman, Doug Flynn. His first name escaped me for the moment. And batting ninth, the starting pitcher, Bill Gullickson. So Willie McGee is batting .264. One advantage the Expos have is Lonnie Smith is not in the lineup for some reason, because he is incredible. Usually they have Lonnie Smith leading off, Tommy Herr second, and then Hendrick third, who has the day off today. When they have that lineup, they always score in the first inning. They always get off to the lead because Smith and Herr are amazing getting on base, and then Hendrick drives them in. But fortunately for the Expos, they don't have that lineup today, so maybe they have a chance. So here's the pitch to Willie McGee, batting .264 with 3 homers and 42 RBIs. And he grounds out to second base. Here's Ken Oberkfell, batting .264 with 3 homers and 38 RBIs. And he has a possible error, and he doesn't have an error. They make the play successfully, does Tim Wallach, and there's 2 out. Here's Tommy Herr, batting .283, 2 home runs and 30 RBIs. But his game is getting on base. And he pops out. Here's Tim Raines, batting .303 with 8 homers and 42 RBIs. And we will just look quickly. You're probably interested in how many stolen bases he has so far. It's amazing when I record how things are slower. Must take a lot of processing power. Anyway, here comes Timmy Raines. He has 65 stolen bases so far this season after 2/3 of the season and 15 caught. So here he goes against Joaquin Andujar. Strikes out. Brian Little batting .260 with no homers and 40 RBIs. He grounds out to the pitcher. And here's the Hawk, Andre Dawson, .281, 21 home runs and 71 RBIs. And he strikes out. Darryl Porter at the top of the second, .275, 641. He grounds out. Steve Braun, who's also an on-base machine, though he's behind. You look at the numbers for the Cardinals, you add them up, and you say, well, they're usually just below their real life numbers, but they seem to get them all together. They coordinate their hits and their walks together. They'll go all these innings of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then they'll have that one inning where they bat around and everybody gets on base. I don't know how the random number generator does it, but it does it. So here's Steve Braun. And he fouls out Andy Van Slyke. Off to a good start in his major league career. He's in his rookie year, batting .265 with 3 homers and 22. He was called up about, we can tell you pretty much when, by looking here, in beginning of June, when they traded Keith Hernandez, the same day they brought up Andy Van Slyke. He put George Hendrick at first to replace Keith Hernandez, and he put Andy Van Slyke in right. But today, Van Slyke is playing first base. And he flies out. Here's Al Oliver. He's on a RBI rampage in the month of July. I noticed that. He has 25 RBIs in July. He's batting .350 with a homer and 25 RBIs. So he's doing well, very well. He's having his best month of the season. Green. We can see how many. He's the player of the month for the Cardinals. He has 4 homers and 13. I got to include that in the write-up. Forgot that detail. Here's Oliver. He grounds out Warren Cromartie. He's on a slump lately, but he has been the best hitter for the Expos this season, batting .339. He was around .350, and yet the Expos don't seem to want to play him. I don't know. They want to try everybody else. They'll try Mike Vail. They'll try what's his name? Wolford? Wolford. They'll play anybody else. Wolford, they'll put Vail, they'll put Francona, they'll put Terry Crowley, and yet their best hitter is right there in front of them in Warren Cromartie in right field, and he's excellent defensively as well. And that's why I think he's getting frustrated at the lack of playing time, the lack of confidence from his manager, and he will leave and go to Japan at the end of the season, and he'll be playing in Japan until the end of the decade, and he will do very well in Japan. So it's too bad he didn't stay on the Expos. Anyway, he grounds out, and here's Gary Carter, .251, 14.35, and he line drives out. So we still have no hits after 2 innings. Do we have any base runners? No. Here's David Green, .335 hitter, 10 homers, 47 RBIs, and he's one of the few Cardinals that's way above his real-life statistics, as he has .363 on base, .542 slugging, which is 120 points higher than his real-life slugging percentage. And he pops out. Here's Ozzie Smith, about the same as real life. He flies out. And here's Andujar, walking underwear. And he grounds out. Here is Tim Wallach, .262, 7, 38. And he grounds out. Still no hits. Doug Flynn. And he gets on base. Our first base runner reaches on an Ozzie Smith error, which is not something you see every day. So that lets Gullickson have opportunity to bunt. And he rolls a double 6. So instead of, possible double here, even has a couple home run possibilities. Instead of that, he is going to bunt. And he gets a sacrifice. He sacrifices Flynn to second base for Tim Raines. And Tim Raines rolls double 6s. So the Expos most certainly will go ahead here. Let's see what he can do. It looks like a double to me. Has a possibility because Andujar is an L for the home run. But we have to roll lower than 26 twice. So the odds are we will not. First one's good. So he has a chance. 33% chance of a home run here. But he rolls 44, so no homer. He's on second base with 2 out for Brian Little. And Brian Little flies out. But the Expos get the early lead, which is the first time in the series. In this 5-game series. Here's Willie McGee. You can expect a pushback from the Cardinals now. He pops out. Oberkfell. He reaches on an error. So that's how the Expos started. This one was by Doug Flynn. So he will not roll. He will not try to steal. And brings up Tommy Herr. Tommy Herr gets a first base hit for the Cardinals. We have 2 men on for Porter. And he grounds out as Gullickson takes the hit away. And the runners advance 1 base, which allows Steve Braun. So we got to pick our poison. Do we want to pitch to Braun or Van Slyke? Might as well pitch to Braun. And he flies out the end of the inning. So after 3.5, it's 1-0 Expos. Here's Dawson, who struck out first time up. Grounds out. Oliver pops out. Cromartie, foul ball, gets another roll, and he gets a base hit. So he is a slow runner. With 2 out, we put on the brakes in case Gary Carter does something. He's having a pretty weak RBI season. He's like one of the main RBI guys. He's just not coming through. And soon he'll be traded to the Mets for Hubie Brooks. That won't happen, though, until the end of 84. So here's Carter. Let's see what he can do. Gets a walk. It's better than going out. Put the brakes on Carter. Tim Wallach grounded out to the first baseman first time up. And he gets a double one, so he's a possible home run. Roll less than 43? No. So it's a double. And 1 run scores, and the other one gets thrown out at home. So I don't mind so much getting thrown out at home from first base on a double. I just don't like getting thrown out at third base on a single with 2 out. So we took a chance. You know, you pay your money, you takes your chance. But he got thrown out at home. So it's now 2-0 Expos. Here's Andy Van Slyke. Flied out to right. Popped out this time. David Green. Flied out. Ozzie Smith. And possible error. Oh, barely not an error. So Gullickson is pitching very well. After 5 innings, only given up this 1 base hit. And that was to who? Who was it to? My memory is short, but good. Tommy Herr is the only guy who got a base hit. So here's Doug Flynn. They got the bottom of the order in the bottom of the 5th. Possible error. Nope. Not even close. Gullickson. He gets double sixes for the 2nd time. But this time he didn't bunt, so he might have a chance at a home run. Look at this. Look at this. Bill Gullickson gets his 4th homer of the season. And it's now 3-0 Expos. I should have recorded all the games. Maybe they would have turned out better. Well, it's not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Tim Raines. He is 0 for 2. And no, he doubled. Yeah, he doubled. He's 1 for 2. But he strikes out this time, so he's now 1 for 3. Here's Brian Little. Walks. Will not try to steal. Let's see if the Hawk can drive him in from first base. He cannot. He grounds out. So here's Andujar. Now, the relievers available. You see here we started with quite a few. Rucker, 2 games. He has 19 innings left in the season available to him. Suter, 2 games, 36 innings left. Von Olin, 34, 1 appearance. Martin, 1 appearance. Lottie, 1 appearance. But that is whittled away as the series goes on. When you have 5-game series, you're going to use some relievers. And now they only have 2 relievers left. Rucker and Lottie. So they do have a couple, and Suter only if there's a closing situation in the 9th inning. So Andujar is not, he's still at a C level, so he'll stay in the game even though he's trailing. Just because there's not a lot of relievers available. So he gets double 4, but because he's not a great hitter, it just gets another roll. And he strikes out. Here's Willie McGee, 0 for 2. He grounds out to the pitcher, and Oberkfell. He's 0 for 2, but he reached on an error, and he grounds out. And Gullickson continues his fine performance. Here's Oliver, 0 for 2. And he fouls out. Cromartie grounds out. Carter gets double 3s, a chance at a home run, 46. It's not a home run. Well, it's a possibility. Okay, so we have to roll less than 35, and he doesn't. So he has a double, and we're going to leave. We're not going to put on the brakes. We're going to let him try for home. Here's Wallach, if he does, in case we do get a hit here. Here's Wallach. Grounds out. Inning over. After 6, Montreal 3, Cardinals nothing. Here's Tommy Herr. Now, Gullickson has to stay in the game. Even if he gets down to the tired D level, he stays in the game. And the rules are King Ikeboo's rules. If it's a shutout, he has to stay in the game. It adds to a lot of shutouts. More shutouts maybe than normal, but it adds a lot of strategic, a lot of nail biting, a lot of... Yeah, it's just the way I play it. That's the way I roll. I hate when, it comes from my, let the guy try. If he hasn't given up a run, let him stay in the game. Give him a chance to get the shutout. Anyway, we're way ahead of ourselves. We got 3 innings left. Here's Tommy Herr. Grounds out to the pitcher. Darryl Porter. Grounds out to the shortstop. Steve Braun. Walks. Is that the first walk given up by Gullickson? Yes. He will not steal. Put on the brakes on Braun with 2 out. And here's Andy Van Slyke. And he gets hit by the pitch. So Gullickson's not giving up hits, but he is now down to a D level because he's allowed 2 base runners in his adjustment inning of 7. We're in the 7th inning. His adjustment, and he's allowed 2 base runners, 1 with a walk, 1 with a hit by pitch. And now the game is in jeopardy, ladies and gentlemen, as the big hitter David Green is up. So let's see what happens. And he strikes him out. Big strikeout for Gullickson in the 7th inning to end it. He's now tired, and like I said, he has to stay in the game because he hasn't given up a run. That means he has to bat in this inning too. That's another thing in the National League. A lot of times you think, well, I got to pull him because it's a chance to get some runs, but he can't take him out because he must stay in the game because of the shutout rule. Here's Doug Flynn. He is reached on an error and rounded out to the first baseman. And he grounds out to the pitcher this time. Gullickson, as we said before, he must, but he has a sacrifice and a home run in this game. And he walks, and he's a fast runner, so he's not a liability there. Here's Tim Raines. He is 1 for 2 with a double. 1 for 3 in a double. And he, fielder's choice, but he has a chance to steal. 42 or less. And he gets his, 66th stolen base of the season. Brian Little with the man in scoring position. Can he drive him in? And he does. Brian Little gets RBI number 41 as he drives in Tim Raines from second base. And it's now 4-0 Expos. And Andujar he's not pitching a shutout, so he can be relieved. And we will bring in, so here we can do the old double switch thing. So in will come the big boy, Mr. George Hendrick, will come into the game to bat for the pitcher, Andujar. And should we keep in Van Slyke or Green? Guess because Van Slyke, because he's 1 position up, will play right field, and David Green will be out of the ball game, and we'll bring in Jeff Lottie. Jeff Lottie will come in, and he is 4-0 with a 3.03 ERA to face the Hawk. Here's the pitch, and he strikes him out to end the 7th inning. The Expos lead 4-0, and Gullickson must stay in. So let's see if that... We've got a 4-run cushion, so it's not as bad. When it's 1-0, and he has to stay in, it's there's been crazy things that happen over the years because of this rule. Here's Ozzie Smith. He is 0 for 2. And he grounds out. So he still has only given up 1 hit. He has allowed a walk and a hit batsman. He's only struck out 2. But he still has that 1 hitter going. Here's George Hendrick. 340 batting average. 13 home runs. 74 RBIs. Where does he fit on the RBI scale in the National League? We shall see in a second. He's up among the leaders. He is... Dale Murphy leads with 85. Billy Buck of the mighty Cubs, 84. Jack Clark, who's for some reason not playing for the last week against the Cardinals and then the Dodgers, just when they needed him, he's got 78. Ron Say of the mighty Cubs, 76. Ray Knight, surprisingly, at 74, tied with Hendrick for 5th place. So here's Hendrick. Wants to get his team going. And he gets double. So there goes the 1-hitter. And he's on second base. Can't pull him. There's 1 out for Willie McGee. Willie McGee gets a base hit, but he's out at home. Who was that? Tim Raines with his 3-arm. Throws out George Hendrick trying to go home. And the shutout is maintained, but Willie McGee has a chance at a stolen base. Doesn't get the steal. So a man on first with 2 out. And of course, we don't put on the brakes. Why? Because he's an F runner. He's super fast. Here's Ken Oberkfell, 0 for 3 with a reached on an error. Here's the pitch to Oberkfell. He gets another hit. So he's on fumes as Gullickson, but he's got to stay in the game. First and third. 2 out for Tommy Herr. Herr, up to now, was the only man for the Cardinals to get a hit. But now there have been a 3 hits in a row here in the 8th inning. So Bill Gullickson is trying to... He's given him everything on the mound, but he's got not much left. Here's the pitch to Herr. Ball! The suspense continues. Here's Tommy Herr. Grounds out to the pitcher. He makes the play and the inning's over, and the shutout is continuing, but now it's a 4-hitter. And here's Jeff Lottie to face Al Oliver. And he flies out to center field, and he goes down to a C. Here's Cromartie. Cromartie is 1 for 3. Flies out to left. Here's Carter. Carter is he's 1 for 1 with a walk. And he line drive to the third baseman. So here comes the 9th inning. The Expos have a 4-run cushion. Reardon is the only pitcher available for Montreal, but he cannot come in because Gullickson has not given up a run. You bet you he's up there in the war. He's warmed up. He's ready to go. In case the first run that comes across, he's in the ball game. Here's Porter. Porter's 0 for 3. Grounds out to the pitcher. Here's Steve Braun. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. He grounds out to the third baseman, Wallach. And it's all up to Andy Van Slyke. Here's the pitch to Van Slyke. He gets double threes. What will he roll? 52. That's a 6. That is a double. And that brings up Lottie. Lottie has a sparkling 0.00 batting average. So he's coming out of the game. And let's see who's eligible. Of course, we just assumed that Hendrick was a pitch hitter, and he was. So Quirk, of course Lonnie Smith. Lonnie Smith, the mighty Lonnie Smith. He is such an incredible, he was incredible in 82 and 83. Look like these numbers, 381. And so far, he's even better in the replays. 358 with a 412 on base. 2 home runs, 38. But he's a master of getting on base. He's the spark plug of the Cardinals. There's no doubt. Here we go. Gullickson hanging on. Here's the pitch to Lonnie Smith. Doubles, and he scores. So the shutout is over. He's going to try to... Okay, would you steal? He has a good chance of stealing. But that 61 means anything 61 or higher means he's out. So when you're down, you do not steal. So he's also a fast runner. So that's it for Gullickson. He's given up his run. So now he will come out of the ball game. And in will come Jeff Reardon, the closer, if you can call him that. He has blown a lot of saves since he's come over from the Mets. In a trade for Ellis Valentine, he has 6 blown saves this year, only 16 saves overall, and he has a 4.11 ERA. Even though he has, good ratings, he is very shaky. But he comes in. So is this a save situation? We have a run. Is the tying run in the on deck circle? And it is. So it is an official save opportunity. First of all, Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith is 0 for 3. Here's the pitch. There's only 1 out remaining. So it's up to Ozzie Smith to keep this one going. Here's the pitch to Ozzie Smith. And he hits into a fielder's choice, and the Expos hang on and win the game 4-1. Here's your box score. The winning pitcher, Bill Gullickson. He only gave up one run, 6 hits. He went into the 7th inning only allowing 1 hit. He is the winner. Jeff Reardon will have his 17th save. The loser, Joaquin Andujar, gave up 3 earned runs, 4 runs overall in 6 2/3 innings. The batting star for the Expos, probably Bill Gullickson himself. So you know that Bill Gullickson will be the player of the game. He had only gave up 1 run in 8 2/3 innings. He almost got complete game shutout. Gave up a run in the 9th inning. So you know he also is the hitting man. He was 1 for 1. He had a sacrifice bunt. He also got a walk and a home run. So he is the man for sure in this game. So once again, your final score: the Montreal Expos 4 runs, 6 hits and 1 error, 5 left on base, and the St. Louis Cardinals 1 run, 6 hits, 1 error, and 7 runners left on base. This is King Ichaboo coming to you live from the underground bunker deep beneath Tuktoyaktuk, where we'll catch you next time, everybody. Goodbye.